Hey guys, I'm John Coughlin, the president of City of Joy International, and we just finished our first ever sponsors team meeting. This was a meeting that was open to all of our sponsors, and we brought on our team from Rwanda, some of our leaders there, and it was a time to just connect with one another. There are a lot of pieces that are involved in the City of Joy mission. There's folks here in the States. There's our team in Rwanda, our teachers, our administrators, and our kids, of course. And it really takes all those pieces working together for City of Joy to work, for us to create paths out of poverty for kids. It takes all of us. And I've been connected to City of Joy for a long time, really since the beginning. We've been praying for City of Joy. We've been supporting City of Joy, sponsoring kids. We've got a little guy, Mike, over there that we sponsor. And but I'll never forget my first trip to Rwanda in 2019 when I was shocked to see how all the pieces of the ministry are interconnected. I didn't understand how important the farm was. I didn't understand how great our teachers were. I didn't understand how the quality of our education is so high. I just didn't understand all of those things. And so, we struggle to find a way to communicate that to everybody. And so the sponsorship or the sponsor team meeting was an effort to do that, to bring folks together, to help them understand how all of it works together. Now we're hoping to do more of these as time goes on, a few times a year, to make announcements, to meet students, to meet teachers, all of those kind of things. So, but here's a recording of our meeting that ended just now, and I forgot to hit record when the meeting started. So the first part of it is not there. So you'll have to deal with this introduction instead of what I said in the meeting. But I hope you enjoy it. But I want each of these guys to introduce themselves. Our internet is intermittent in Rwanda, so it comes and goes. So we'll just have to be patient with one another. But why don't we go ahead and start with Emmy? Are you on, Emmy? Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
You hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Can you turn your camera
on? Okay. Now I'm on.
There we go. All right, this is my dear friend Emmy, and he has been with City of Joy since the beginning. I won't steal his thunder. I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself.
Yeah, as John said, my name is Emmy Rugira. I'm 42 years. I'm married. I have 3 kids, a girl and 2 boys. I've been working with City of Joy since 2011. So it's now my 10 years of working. I do work, before I've been working as a project manager because I've been doing daily operations of construction and everything. At the same time, do payroll for the people that have been working with us. Today, I'm working as a program director, and I handle daily operations of the organizations. I do trust and believe what City of Joy is doing to transform the lives of the people in this community. Since I began working with City of Joy, I was really impressed the way you guys are transforming the lives of these people, especially children. They haven't been attending school on time. Now, at 3, at least everyone would like to bring kids to our school. Thank you for supporting City of Joy and the entire nation, because if you support City of Joy, you're supporting our nation. I mean, you started from kids, their families. Yeah, for those ones who had the chances to visit Rwanda, I think they have a say. You've seen a lot of impact you guys have been doing here. So thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Emmy. I appreciate that. Next, I'd like to introduce Eliakim to you. He is our principal, and he's been a wonderful leader for our school. So take it away, Eliakim. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
I was talking to myself. My name is Eliakim Nzanjuru. I am 30 years old. I have a wife and one daughter. I love my daughter very much. And one thing I love to do when I am at home, I love playing with my daughter because I know it's something that can impact her education in the future. These days, she knows some words, English and Kinyarwanda words. I love it when she's singing Jesus Loves Me. So I came to this school in 2017, May 22nd, and I was a teacher teaching English and Kinyarwanda. So in 2018, on September 13th, I became the principal of this school. There are a number of things I loved at Joy Christian School. I didn't know the children we were serving until I stepped in their families and they talked with their parents. And I was really, I was shocked to see the places where our children were coming from. And I felt happy to see how our children were performing, no matter which families they were coming from. So this is from input of different people, donors, teachers, parents, and though the input of parents was not too much, parents to make sure they focus on children's education by enforcing and encouraging them to revise the lessons, read the notebooks, and come to visit and talk with the teachers on how children are performing. So City of Joy has been a blessing to me and to the community because when I used to be, and I am still a friend of children, and that's the motive that led me to becoming a teacher. So coming to City of Joy helped me work with young children, and I feel like I am in a family where I can talk with the children, where I can learn from them. And this is where I learned and understood the lesson of why Jesus said to let people, he said to the people to let the children come to himself. So from these children, I see the blessing, I see the love of God, and I really appreciate input of the donors and members of board, teachers, and parents. I also appreciate the input of Amy, our project manager, and Paul, who is here with us, and he will speak for himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliakim. I appreciate that. Hey, Paul, is your sound on? Are you able to hear us? Because I don't think that we can. There you're connecting your audio now. Okay, so this is Paul, who's about to share, and Paul is our sponsorship coordinator. So you have all received emails from Paul. Hopefully you've seen photos of your kids and their report cards, and he's the one that is the liaison between you and your student. So Paul, would you mind introducing yourself?
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, my name's Paul Kalenzi. I am married to one beautiful wife with 3 kids. I joined City of Joy in January this year. I am the sponsorship coordinator at City of Joy. I love working at City of Joy because the people here are friendly and welcoming. The working conditions are conducive. Yeah, my duties is to make sure you get letters, pictures, report cards from our students, and our students receive the same from your side, from our sponsors. Yeah, we just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors in the good work they're doing for these students. I pray that may God bless you so much for what you're doing. And I wish that one day you may have a chance to visit City of Joy, Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I told Paul, we were just in Rwanda in November, and I told Paul that one of the smartest things that I've done in my life was to bring him on board to City of Joy. He's been such a great asset to our community. He's a great volleyball player. He plays fiercely, so much so that he's been known to rip his shirt while playing volleyball. But also he loves our kids well. And he's been doing a great job of moving our sponsorship program forward. So thank you, Paul. Okay, so I spent a long time doing youth ministry, and so I cannot ever get away from having an icebreaker when we have meetings. And so I've put together a little game, and it's going to require some sponsor participation if you're up for it. One of the biggest challenges I think that we have as sponsors is trying to pronounce our child's names that we sponsor. So I hear this all the time. And so here's the game we're going to play. I have 3 slides with 3 different children's names on them. And so I'm looking for 3 volunteers who will try to pronounce each child's name. And then Paul, Ellie, Kim, and Emmy, if you could grade us A, B, or C, or D, or maybe even F on our attempts, we'll see who is best able to pronounce a child's name. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Can I get 3 volunteers? All right, Mrs. Jolly, thank you. Justin will do it. What? Kathy, are you up for it? Okay, all right. So we're gonna start. Who wants to go first? Raise your hand. I'll give you a hint. The easiest one's first. Okay, all right. Stephanie, you'll be number 1. All right. So go ahead and unmute yourself. And can you guys see my can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here's the first child.
You want me to pronounce that?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, Alice is easy.
Okay.
You, Winniza?
All right. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, guys.
How did I do?
Let's give her a grade, either A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Eliakim, what do you say?
I said B.
B, okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
All right. Paul?
C.
Okay. Emmy?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm giving her B.
B? Okay. All right.
okay.
Eliakim, can you tell us the correct pronunciation?
So I think the where she was wrong, it's the first sound where she read U instead of U.
Oh,
Okay.
the U and the
Yeah.
W.
All right.
It's
So pronounce her name for us.
Uineza. Uineza.
Uineza.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Well done, Mrs. Jolly. All right, Kathy, you're up. We'll get the next child here for you.
That's my little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. Tharsisi, Tharsese, Rugamana.
All right. All right, guys. How'd she do? Paul?
That's a C.
C. Okay. All right. Paul's a tough grader, guys.
That's
Eliakim?
okay.
What do you say, Eliakim?
She has C.
Okay, all right. Emmy?
Yeah, actually, she's missing, instead of say Rugemana, she's saying Rugamana. So I'm giving her a C.
Okay, all right. So give us the correct pronunciation. Eliakim.
So it's two names, and I think it's hard because the first name is French, and the second name is Kinyarwanda. So she was right. By the way, I can actually give her B because it's just different languages. The first name is Tarsis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Tarsis.
Tarsis, and the second name is Rugeman.
All right. Well done.
Wow.
You got it. Now you know. All right.
Yeah.
Justin, are you ready for this?
As ready as I can be.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. How about this one?
Yeah. So I'm thinking for this one, maybe we should do like, instead of A through F, maybe just like pass or almost pass.
Okay. All right.
I am not gonna try. Hornella, I
All right.
that's
I
a
put
really difficult one. I hope you tell me that's like 4 languages because I have no idea and I
All right.
apologize.
No no worries. I really put you on the spot. That was not fair.
I'm gonna work on it though.
Okay. All right. Eliakim, can you give us the pronunciation?
Yeah, the first name is still French, and the H is silent, and letter R is pronounced in the French. So the first name is Ornella, Ornella, and the second middle name is Uwimpuhwe. So remember, it's not U, it's U. Uwimpuhwe. I know M and P, it's not an easy sound for anyone else except the Rwandans to pronounce this name. So, and the third name is Dusabiman.
Oh, wow.
All right. So there you go. There's a reason it's difficult for us. But I will tell you that some of our names are also difficult for our Rwandan friends. Is that right?
John, your second name is very hard.
Yeah. Coughlin?
Is it the cough, cool, or what?
It's cough, like Coughlin.
Okay.
Okay.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Even after all these years, we still have trouble with each other's names. So that's a common challenge for all of us. Thank you guys for being good sports about that. So we heard from Justin in the unfair challenge I gave to him, but Justin was actually able to come with me to Rwanda in November, and Justin's a very old friend. We've known each other since junior high, and actually Anne Marie's on this call as well, and she was also a friend of ours from way back in that day. So it's nice to Anne Marie to see. There's your face even. So thank you and welcome. But anyways, I asked Justin if he would, Justin's been a sponsor for quite some time, but this was his first time to go to Rwanda. And so I just asked if he would give us a kind of his impressions, tell us maybe some of the things that surprised him. And so, yeah, go for it, Justin.
Yeah, no, thank you. So what I did is I just went through my journal, right, for the days that we were there, and just picked out a few of the highlights that I wanted to share with everybody. So first, I'll just say it was an incredible trip. And as much as, I read the letters and look at the website and videos and talk to people, being there really was super impactful, right? And I've been on a number of different trips, and each one is special. But this was really unique. And so it's hard to articulate without being on the ground to really understand the impact and the special team that is at City of Joy. And so I'll just share a few, right? So my note from day one was 3 words, and it was awesome, intelligent, and articulate. And that was really about the team that was there, Eliakim and Emmy and Paul, as well as the other teachers, right? I mean, I was just really blown away at the level of leadership that God has brought to City of Joy, and was super grateful for that. And so the other thing is just getting to see the children and playing with the children and playing soccer with the children and just watching them run around the playground on day number 2 is really special. And we got to see the sewing class that was started, as well as the baskets that we've started making there as some income opportunity. And it was just a really good reminder to me of the great foundation that has been started and how important a foundation is to be able to do a lot of other different things. So that was really special to me as well. And then John challenged me. So we had soma in the morning is what the children eat for breakfast, right? And so the first time we went over, John asked me if I wanted some, and I just told him I was good. And so the second day he asked me again, and I still told him I was good. And like he said, we've known each other for a while. So he said, well, what if that's the best thing you've ever eaten, right? And so I tried it, and it was actually really, really, really good. It looked different than I expected for it to taste, right? It was kind of like oatmeal, but maybe not as lumpy and a little thinner, but you know what? It was phenomenal. And what was cool is not knowing or understanding that the 2 meals a day that we're able to provide for these students, that could be the only 2 meals they get that day, right? So the soma in the morning and then the lunch, it was really special to see that and to understand that. So the nutrition that we're providing as well. And then God, through me, as I went through the days of my journal, kept just giving me different snippets for me, Justin, personally, and for my family to bring back to. And so I wanted to share some of those with you as well. And so one of them is to dream God-sized dreams, right? At City of Joy, with what we're doing and building, but even in my own life with my family and my children and my wife, right? Like, hey, if I could go do that on my own, is that really God at work, or is that Justin just doing something, right? And so as I talked to John, as God just really impressed on my heart, like, hey, dream big, right? God's bigger than what I could do without him. And if I really want this to be a God-sized dream, I need to dream big, because he's going to handle it and he's going to do it. And so the other thing that God really impressed on me when we were there is that it's not how much you give, it's how much you sacrifice. And so for us, we've sponsored children and we're grateful, right? And seeing them and meeting my children, which I got to do, was super special. But one of the things God shared with me is like, hey, you're giving and that's really cool, but really, are you sacrificing, right? Can you do more? And then, so 2 other things that I just want to share is God asked me, right? Is how do I help? Right? Like, what skills and gifts and abilities and talents do I have that are unique to me that I can bring to City of Joy? Right? And then the other thing he asked me is why do I do it? Right? Why do I help? So how specifically can I help, and why do I help? And so I'm fortunate to be in the technology space. And so, yeah, internet struggle, technology equipment is a real thing in Rwanda, right? So God's impressed with me, like, hey, dream big. How do you help solve some of the challenges, right? Like, we want Emmy and Paul to be able to be on video, right? Not just for this call once a quarter or however long, but all day, right? Every day. And so doing things like that. And so I'll say 1 or 2 last things. One of the things that was also super impressive to me is just John's leadership and his compassion for the people of Rwanda, and really his connection with the people of Rwanda as a whole, but really specifically with the faculty and the staff and the teachers. And so I wanted to share with you my journal from day 4 in the evening. and this is just what I wrote in my journal that day. And I had forgotten, frankly, some of this until I read it. But this is what I said on the evening of day 4. I said, I hope I never forget how I feel tonight. And then I wrote overwhelmed. They gave us gifts. The teachers who live away from their families at a boarding school during the week sacrificed, and they gave us gifts. And to me, that was just such a special moment, right? Because again, the teachers are incredible. They're amazing. They're sacrificing. Like, I didn't get it. Like, these teachers, most of them like live at Joy for the week, Monday through Friday, and then they go home on the weekends to see their families. Why? Right? Well, one is to provide for their families, but 2 is because they love what they do. They love the Lord. They love the children. They love to educate people. And that was instilling to me. And then the last thing that we did that night was get to go see one of the families of the students of Joy. And it was eye-opening to me, right? Because the conditions in the village and the way that they live just really touched me, right? We went into a room and it was a dirt floor that they slept on. And there was a mat there, right? Like thin paper mat. There was no electricity. We were having potatoes for dinner, they were. And then we got to see some pigs, and we thought they were raising the pigs to, to make an income or money. And they were their pets, right? They had pigs for pets. But what was really cool is we went out to the garden area, and they were able to show us watermelons that they had just planted. And what was cool is how joyful they were and how proud they were that they had planted watermelons, and we're going to see them through. And that was just really cool. And so the lasting image for me, and John, as you replay this, I'll let you insert the image here. But the image for me, I'll try and share if it comes through via Zoom, and it will a little, is this one. And so this is at school, and it was actually day 1 when we were there. And if you look closely out at the right-hand side, you can see 2 students outside the gate, and they aren't in our school, right? And they, who knows, maybe they were in school and they went later. Maybe they're in a different school. Maybe they were playing hooky for the day. But it was eye-opening to me that we have an incredible school, great sponsors like you, incredible people at the school who want to learn and lead. But man, there's such a need for incredible education. And we're doing more than just educating. We're impacting a community, impacting students, families, and really generations with what we're doing. And starting at the foundation and transforming through love, through having some of the top test scores in the nation, but just having people that are those kids at the school. Like, I could not believe how overjoyed they were. They were playing soccer with a basketball that was probably 10 years old, that was not pumped up. And I don't even think they cared one bit, right? That they were just so excited to have people who loved them and food on the table. And so, that for me, that image is just a lasting image for me of all the things that I learned. So yeah, that's a few of the things. And my encouragement to you is, you ever get the opportunity to go, it would be amazing. And so, yeah, our family is going back again to see. And so not just me, but my whole family this time. And we're just grateful for the sponsors on the call and for the leadership on this call as well.
Thank you, Justin. That was really awesome. I appreciate you sharing all that stuff. And I will tell you that Justin and his family have given sacrificially. So I won't disclose everything, but they've really have blessed City of Joy tremendously. And so thank you, Justin, for that. And we're really happy. The other thing I really love is how Justin keeps saying we, because really that's kind of the attitude that we're working toward developing with all of our sponsors, is that it does feel like a we, that we're all in it together. So thanks, Justin. I appreciate all that. Okay, so I have a few more things that I'd like to share with you guys before we allow you to ask any questions that you might have. But it really has to do with the need of City of Joy and kind of where we've been. So can you all see my screen? So we sometimes we don't realize, um, especially in the States, what real poverty is, what that looks like. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation publishes a study every year about poverty around the world, and it's a really cool resource. You can get into it and you can mess with the data and print all kinds of different reports for yourself. But I came across this a couple of weeks ago now, but it has to do with extreme poverty in the world. And extreme poverty has a few markers. One is that people make less than $1.90 a day. They don't have access to clean drinking water. They don't have access to great schools. They don't have access to proper nutrition and medical care. Like, these are all the markers of extreme poverty. But if you look at this chart, you can see that, worldwide, we're making a lot of progress on eliminating extreme poverty. But when you look at that top line, that dark blue line, that's extreme poverty in Rwanda. And so nearly 55% of Rwandans still live making less than $1.90 a day. That's worse than the region as a whole. It's far worse than where we are globally. If you look at the States, that's the green line. We have 0% extreme poverty in our nation. But that's the kind of poverty that we're trying to fight in Rwanda. Along with that is the issue of stunting. And so there we go. And stunting happens when kids don't have enough nutrition. And so part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, their study includes a percentage of kids who experience stunting as a result of not having enough nutrition. And again, in Rwanda, we're not doing very well. 35% of kids under the age of 5 suffer from stunting. And we know that very well from our community. Most of our kids get one meal or less at home. And so that's why our feeding program is so important. But again, when you look at compared to the rest of the region, we're worse off. We're worse off, much worse off than we are here in the States. And so this is really a challenge for me personally, and it really gets at why I am involved with City of Joy. I have my favorite verse. I have a few favorite verses, but one of my favorite verses is Ephesians 2:10. And it says that we are God's masterpiece. He's created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good works, the good things that he planned for us long ago. And when I remember that verse and I think about the reality of the situation in Rwanda, I really have this struggle inside me, because I look at these kids and you look at these kids here and you see how special they are. They're just like kids in the States. You pull out a camera and they're getting goofy and having fun, but they're also God's masterpiece. Like, each one has been created unique for a purpose. Each one is an expression of God's love for the world. But to think about God's masterpiece living in extreme poverty, like, I have a real problem with that. And so, we believe that the solution to this problem, this disconnect of God's masterpieces living in extreme poverty, is education. That if we can provide a great education for these kids, they're smart enough, they are ambitious enough that they will take that education and they will find the solutions to the poverty of Rwanda. And so we're investing everything that we can. That's why your sponsorships are so important, and why we're so grateful for your sponsorships, is because you're creating these paths for these kids to escape extreme poverty. They're being equipped so that they can fully step into the masterpieces that they are, so that they can do the good things that God's planned for them. And I think that those good things include leading their community out of poverty. So if you've been around City of Joy for a while, and some of you have, especially Emmy. In fact, you can see him here in the top left corner. This was the first day of Joy Christian School when we opened our preschool. It actually started with the vocational school where we started a sewing program, but we discovered that all the women in our sewing program had kids, and as Emmy puts it, we actually were creating a problem because we were taking the moms out of the home to teach them sewing skills, and yet they had kids that were there with no one to care for them. And so City of Joy started this preschool. As the kids grew and they aged out of preschool, we realized that we had another problem. We had to provide further education for our kids, and so we started our primary school. And every year as kids grew, we just added on, and we discovered that we were providing a really great education for our kids. Justin mentioned our great test scores. Our kids are so smart. This last year when they took their national exams, if you look at this little pie graph on this page, it has the breakdown of how kids did across the country in Rwanda. And kids are put into one of 5 divisions based on their test scores. And Division 1 is the highest division that you can have. It's the top of the top. And in all of Rwanda, only 5.7% of kids finish in that division. So that's that little tiny red pie piece there. Our kids, 34 kids took the test. 29 of them finished in Division 1. The other 5 were just a couple points away from Division 1, and they finished in Division 2. And so we know that the education we're providing is so great. Now, when our first kids took the national exam, they finished 6th grade. We did not have 7th, 8th, 9th grade for them. And so we sent them to other schools around the country. They went to boarding schools, which is common in Rwanda. So they went to these boarding schools, and they got to go to really good boarding schools because they got good high test scores on their national exams. But after a year, we realized that there was a problem with what we were doing. One, we were sending our best resources outside of the community. And so we were sending them to these boarding schools all around the country. And 2, it was a different learning environment than they had been used to. They were used to how we did things at City of Joy, how the small class sizes, the way that their teachers really care for them, the safe environment that City of Joy is. And so their grades started to slip. They weren't excelling the way that they were before, especially when it came to English language. And so we realized we had these 2 problems. And several months ago, we asked our sponsors and donors to pray about this issue with us, because we needed to figure out how we were gonna handle that. And so for more than a year, we had meetings with our board and with the team in Rwanda. We prayed. We learned a lot. We learned that there's more that we don't know than we do know, and so it's been quite a long journey. But there was a day that we were having a board meeting, and it was the time to decide whether or not we're gonna start our own secondary school, and we're gonna take that leap. It's a big leap. It'd be the biggest leap that we've taken as a school, or if we're going to continue to do what we've been doing. And it happened that morning, one of our secondary students was home from school. She stopped by to see Principal Eliakim, and this is Renata, and she told him, she said, "We're all tired of going to other schools. Isn't there a chance of building a secondary school here, even if we sit on the floor, even if we don't eat or get sosoma? But we would like to stay here and have City of Joy take care of us." And so Eliakim shared that with me the morning that we were going to have this board meeting. And for me, that sealed the deal. that this student and other students wanted to be at City of Joy. We didn't have space for them. We didn't have classrooms for them. But she didn't care. She was willing to give up the hot meals that they get at school, willing to learn sitting on the floor. She just wanted to be back in our community. And so that day, the board made a decision that we would build or that we would launch Joy Secondary School, and that was a big deal. That was a big decision. And I do want to say that I kind of there's part of this that I regret, and that is that we didn't tell you all about this sooner. We asked you to pray about it, but we didn't. As decisions were made, I wish that I could go back and invite you into every step of the way. This is a bigger project than we've ever taken on. It's likely, when all is said and done, it's going to cost $500,000 to build everything that we need to build. Just in complete honesty, I'm going to be very transparent in this moment. There was part of us that wanted to get our act together before we made the announcement. We wanted to say, hey, this is what we're doing. Here's the plan. Here's how we're going to work it out. Because we wanted our sponsors and donors to know that we put a lot of thought into this. But man, this is a difficult project. This has been a hard thing to execute, and it's messy. But what I really do truly regret is not inviting you all into the mess sooner. There's plenty of mess still ahead of us. But really, if you're not in the messy part with us, then you can't really fully enjoy the goodness of God as He provides along the way. And so even in the short, the last couple months, as we've made this decision to move forward, God's done a few miracles so far. One, He allowed our team to be really flexible. We've shifted classrooms around. We've moved our sewing school to a different part of campus. Everyone has been really flexible in order to create extra space on our current campus to bring in our secondary students. God has provided financially way beyond what I even dared to dream at this point, to the point where we're about $4,000 away from being able to build our first 4 classrooms. And then also He moved the hearts of the Ministry of Education to allow us to launch a secondary school without having all the infrastructure in place. And so I apologize really truly for not inviting you in a little bit sooner. But now you're in. Now you know what's going on and the plans, and I'll tell you that 2 weeks ago we brought our kids back on campus, and so here you can see our secondary school students who are in their new uniforms. They're on campus and they are excited to be there. We brought in 3 new teachers. We'll have to hire a total of 6, and so we're working on that. But this is my favorite picture of 2021, and it was just taken last week because I think it gives a good picture of what this means for our community. And I think this picture really speaks to community. These kids are walking to school. This is in the morning as school's getting started. They're approaching the campus, and you've got the younger student holding the hand of the older student. Now these girls aren't family. They're just neighbors, but they're walking to school together. And guys, you really, through your sponsorships, you've cleared a path for this older secondary student to get a great education. You've provided a way for her to do something that not many people in her community have done. The path for families in our community right now is to work their little farms. and the next generation will work the land after them. And they're really small plots of land, and they can't even grow enough to feed their families. But that's the only path that's been available for generations to these families. And so when we talk about clearing a path out of poverty, that we're really creating new opportunities for these students. And so this secondary school student has been walking that path. And the beauty is, and you can kind of see it even in this girl's face as she's looking up to the older student. She's looking to that student who's going ahead of her and getting a great education. And so I love it. And I really truly want to give you my heartfelt thank you for being involved in this and making all of this happen. We will have a second for questions, but before we do, I want to invite you into further into this to what's going on in 3 ways. One, that you keep praying for City of Joy. We really know that none of this happens without prayer, and our Rwandan team knows this as well. That nothing, we don't do anything of our own accord. We all do our little part, but it's really God that moves this forward. So we keep praying for City of Joy, for our team, for your students. 2, be an advocate. Like I said, this is a huge project for us. This is something, it's bigger than anything we've ever done. As Justin said, this is a God-sized dream. And so we need more sponsors. We need more donors. We need a bigger team to make this happen. And so when you advocate for City of Joy and you tell your friends, hey, I'm a part of this ministry. I sponsor this child. Look at this letter that I got back. Look at this photo. You're an advocate for City of Joy. So I'd ask that you continue to do that. I know all of you are very connected to what's happening, but please continue to do that. And then 3, keep staying in contact with your student. You get those messages from Paul, write back. It means more than you can imagine to those students. They love to hear from you. They love to get photos of you. Like I said earlier, they're doing something that people in their community haven't done before. Even their parents don't quite understand the value of education. And so there are a lot of hurdles that they're trying to overcome. And so those encouraging words that they get from you really do matter. It helps them to stay the course. And it reminds them that they're not insignificant, that God sees them. I think of it as a miracle when God connects a family here with a kid in Rwanda. Really, that's only something that God can do. And so please continue to stay in contact with your students. I think that's all that I want to share. I'd love to pray together before we go, but I do want to open it up for questions. If you've got questions for myself or Justin or any of our team, feel free to raise your hand or just jump on and speak. All right. In that case.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Okay. Yeah.
I'm good. Okay. So first of all, thank you to everyone. It's really neat to hear from the team over in Rwanda. So thank you for putting this all together. What a blessing. I have a question regarding the Joy Store. I love that you have the baskets and all the products for sale. I was wondering, when I received the basket, I don't remember getting like a little piece of paper in there kind of explaining, what the store is doing and what it's supporting. Because I'm trying to like get some things to pass along like for Christmas. It'd be nice to include just a little snippet of what the store is and what it's supporting. And I just thought maybe I should ask if that's included or could be included. That might be helpful.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really great question. And that is something that that the Joy Store is still new. And so there's a lot of things that we want to put in place with that. But yeah, that's something that we're working toward. And really we'd like to get to the point where there's some sort of identifier on each basket, and so that you could learn about, you know, who it is that made the basket, learn about their family. But that's honestly, guys, that's a lot of work. And so our Joy Store manager, that's one of the things on her agenda to work toward. But yeah, I hear you. In the meantime, to include something in the package that explains what it's for. You know, these Rwandan baskets are becoming quite the thing. You can buy them even at Target. You can buy Rwanda baskets, and so and the baskets are made in Mahunga, which is nearby, near City of Joy, about an hour away. And so it's yeah, it's kind of cool to see that the world is recognizing the art of Rwanda. Now, our basket making program is just a few months old. And so our women are becoming more skilled at their craft. And all the women in our program are parents of Joy kids. So
Those baskets are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've bought them as gifts for Christmas. So yeah, I agree with Anne Marie that it would be nice to have even just what City of Joy is, because I want people to know that that's where this basket is special,
yeah,
and that they're getting something one of a kind. And I just love them. So yeah.
good. Thank you.
I have one other question.
Yes.
I was wondering, and maybe you have something like this, but do you have like a printable bulletin or even like a half sheet of paper? Maybe since it's Christmas card season, like I'd love to include it in my Christmas card. Just like, what is City of Joy? You know,
Yeah.
you're starting a new school. We're looking for
Mhm.
people to sponsor. If it's
Mhm.
something you could just download right off your website, it'd be easy to
Mhm.
include in Christmas cards.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. All right, we're gonna work on that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
That's great, because you know, we want to be able to, we ask you to advocate for us, but we want to be able to give you the tools that you need for that. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Mhm. I have a question, and it's probably more for Paul. So Paul, you're the one that helps write the letters of our kids. And so I try to always respond as quickly as I can to the two that I have. And is there something more specific that I should be either asking them or telling them? There's so many things I'd like to know more about their life. So sometimes I feel like what I'm writing is so generic. I would like to get more detail to them, but I'm so thankful that you do such a good job with that. And as soon as I've written or something, I get something back. And so I appreciate all the time that you take into responding, having the kids respond, or the pictures of the kids that they got the letters. So that's really, really cool. So I can see their faces and know that they got it. So I thank you for that, Paul.
Paul, do you have any ideas of things that our students might be interested in hearing from their sponsors? You're muted.
I think I'll work on that and get more ideas from and get back to the sponsors.
That's great. Yeah, maybe we could work on a letter writing guide that we can send out to sponsors that would help give a little bit of guidance. I like that. That's good. So Kathy, the things that they always ask us when we're there is they ask about our families. They ask about they ask about weather. They ask about, you know, what it's like where we live. Because really, you're in Minnesota, right? Yeah, it's so different than Rwanda. So to hear about snow, to hear about how cold it is, to hear about, you know, how you have to bundle up, all of those things are really, they love to hear about that kind of stuff.
Okay,
But we'll work on a guide as well.
okay.
I like that.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys after this, just to kind of get your impressions and of how this meeting was and what we could do to further engage sponsors. And we just really want everyone to feel connected to what's going on. It's important, and we need you, and we love you, and you're important to us. So let's close with a word of prayer. God, we thank you so much for your goodness to us, Lord, to be called to join you in this work in Rwanda. It's a gift, and though each one of us has given sacrificially, Lord, it doesn't even feel like a sacrifice, because it's so rewarding. Like we share in the joy of giving. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for each one of these sponsors, for the gift that they are to their students, and to the mission of City of Joy. We pray that you would continue to guide us, to guide the ministry. We pray that we could keep providing excellent education, that the hope in our community would continue to grow. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and asking questions. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.